you guys run a really nice business in the luxury market. So you guys already introduced yourself already, so we'll skip that. What is your value service that you added to your client, either sellers or buyer, or both?
Who do you want to take that?
You go down everyone that chose
Okay.
this one. Yep.
You kick it off.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that we added a while back, going about 4 years just after COVID was ending, so about 3 years, we added a Mercedes luxury Sprinter van to what we offer our clients in terms of picking them up for appointments, taking them to closing, and then we extended that into our database of offering them airport rides if they needed to go out, having events where we would take a past client out who referred us business, we would set them up with a driver, take them out to dinner, pay for dinner. It was all those things that we did to cater to that luxury client who was wanting something like that. It sounds expensive, but when you boil it down to the return on investment, it's massive in dealing with that high-end clientele. The van itself was 50% was paid by me, the other 50% was paid by the vendors, right? Attorney, title, lender, and my company. So it wasn't a massive cost to obtain this luxury Sprinter van. And then when people were in it, the following that happened was they were taking photos, right? Just closing, we're on our way to closing, and their friends saw that. And was like, I didn't get an experience like that. And then they reached out and they referred the client. So it was something different to differentiate ourselves and also market ourselves, because our logo, my face, the company name is all over the van and people see it constantly. Like you may see some realtors that do a moving truck, things of that nature. But that was something we did to the high-end market, and it really worked.
Awesome. Heidi, what about you?
So for me, honestly, it's whatever they need, right? So, I always joke, I got a guy. Like, what do you need? I have to know people to service whatever their needs are, from a ride or a driver to a handyman to a masseuse. I have a client that's done a little over $40 million worth of business with me in the last 5 years, and her husband passed away. And she's one of my biggest transactions that I've ever had, and I didn't know what to do. Like, I literally didn't know what to do. And I have a massage therapist, and I was talking to her about it, and she's like, well, I can do a grief massage. And I'm like, you can? So now she has a whole room set up in this lady's house after her husband passed away. That was a couple years ago. And she has her own massage room now because of this introduction. So for me, it's whatever my client needs. We have to either have it or find it within 5 minutes.
Same thing. It's about resources. Like I got into the luxury market through high-end rentals. So I didn't I didn't grow up in a luxury home. My parents were immigrants, so I didn't really live in that world. But the clientele that I was servicing, again, they want service. So I was their Siri. Like, anything that they needed, I knew how to get it quickly and effectively with no stress. So again, they needed a driver, they had a driver. They needed a rental company, they had a rental company. Furniture, I really had everything so articulately delivered that they come to me still today for everything. I started a whole, I love going to coffee shops. So I became the lifestyle agent. Oh, she goes to coffee shops. Christine, which one should I go to? So I became community, lifestyle, and they know I love traveling. So everywhere I go, I make a restaurant list. And I say, hey, if you're going to Phoenix, here's your list of great restaurants on me. So it's those little touches that stand out. I don't have a van, but I could get them a van. Maybe I'll call you. But there's different ways, it's just a matter of knowing what your client's needs are and filling it and filling it with, gratitude and kindness, because that goes such a long way.
So Heidi, you have mentioned, when we were having dinner last night, that your market had changed dramatically. Like the price point has went up like quadruple, 4 times, right? So how do you stay innovative, and also how do you stay ahead of the market trend to provide your service?
So I'm a researcher. Like, I study what other people are doing. I watch people that I admire, both locally and nationally, and I stalk them, right? Like, what are they doing? What are they saying? Like, what's working for them? Who's ahead of, like, whose market is ahead of ours? And what, because, like, people were saying that what I'm experiencing now, that we've slowed down, they said it was coming, and I was ready for it when it did. So innovative, not really, because it's the relationships that I have, that it's still that belly-to-belly contact and that voice-to-voice. I mean, I sold a $4.2 million condo to a guy that I met walking down the street. I've known him for a couple of years, and I asked him to come watch the sunset with me. And he said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm in your new home. Come meet me for sunset." He was not in the market. He was not looking. He came, he left, good luck with selling it. The next morning he's calling me, and he's like, "Can you get me back in there again?" I'm like, "Sure, I'm actually here showing it now. I've got a bunch of showings lined up today." And then I set off that competitive piece in him, which was beautiful, and I got both sides. It was amazing. So come watch sunset with me. Is that innovative? I don't know, but anything.
That's thinking outside the box. So definitely, yeah. So that's $8.4 million in sales. So that's pretty impressive.
I mean,
right?
that helped me, set a record last year. I had a $13.5 million week.
That's
so,
fantastic.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Now I need to do that
Awesome.
every week.
Yeah. We would love to do that every week, right? How about you, Christine?
For me, it's making the care calls. So during the pandemic, everybody from New York City wanted to move to the suburbs. Well, I had clientele, and I knew which ones to call that I knew were risk takers because I know them so well. So I called a client, and I said, "How would you like to make $1 million in 2 years?" And they're like, "Excuse me?" And I said, "Well, we have a lot of clients looking up in your area. You have the resort-style home with the pool. How about it?" And she goes, No, Brian and I are fine." She's French, so she's like really loves to make money and she does such a great job. She's the client I sold 10 homes to, starting from a $6,000 rental. So sold them 10 luxury homes. She calls me up in 48 hours. I talk to Brian. Let's do it. So we virtually had global, virtual opens, and we sold the home in 2 weeks, and they made $1.1 million in 2 years. And then I sold them another $1 million home that they now reside in because they have a son still in school. So because they trust, you just have to make those calls. You know how to interpret the market. Don't let Google deliver your news. You deliver. That's what I took away from Inman last year, is as the real estate professionals, don't let Google deliver the news. You're the one on the ground. You know the information. Deliver it. And that's what I did. I delivered an opportunity.
You planted the seed. That's beautiful.
Right. And they took it, and since then, I've gotten 4 referrals from her.
That's a great point. Michael, so you started to mention that you leverage your partnerships and also with the people and you have a van. Like, how do you go the extra mile to give them extraordinary, exceptional luxury service?
Yeah, the biggest thing was I'm not a big believer in fake it till you make it. And early in my career, it was tough to relate to a high-end clientele because that wasn't me. Still, personality-wise, is not me. But now, financially, I could relate. And what I learned was having conversations with them about what they wanted to know was of extreme value. So what I started nerding out on is taxes. People with money care about keeping their money. And I know we'll get into this with wealth. But what I really started to do, and staying up with trends that were always changing, were tax laws. And being in real estate, there's a huge advantage in cost segregation on investment properties to lowering your taxes, the Augusta rule, all things like that, if you could have those conversations with those types of people, not only does it just build that relationship, but it just puts you at a level of as an advisor. And when you could advise on things just not real estate, but affect them and teach them something, now when you open your mouth about an investment property or whatever it is, they're listening. And not only are they listening, they would love to refer you business to somebody else because they trust you because you've already helped them in other ways outside of real estate. So that's the huge value add that I bring to that high-end clientele.
And then Christine and Heidi, how do you effectively market your service to able to you target the right audience, the right buyers and sellers to come into you to say, hey, I'm wanting to buy this $4.3 million home, so I want to list my house with you?
Authenticity. We talked about care breath. We talked about commission breath. I firmly believe that if you are not authentic, that's going to have a scent of its own. And I'm not stuffy, so I can't show up as stuffy. That's not who I am. If you don't want to laugh and you don't want to have fun and you don't want to have a good experience, I'm not your girl. I just have to be who I am. And when you first meet some people, they hold their cards close to the vest, and I spend time with them just to let go and to relax. And then now I have friends for life. That's the thing for me that moving into this price point has done for me. It gives me the opportunity to no longer be transactional and on to the next and on to the next. And I'm able to actually be in relationship. And one of my favorite things to do, especially with a high net worth person, is find out, how did you make your money? What is it that you do? I'm fascinated. Those are authentic questions. And we're business people, right? So you get into business conversations. Most people that I've never worked with anybody that's won the lottery. So most people have earned it, right? Or it's generational wealth or whatever. Okay, great. What did your grandparents do? And it's investing time in getting to know them.
Christine?
It's a combination. It's actually a combination of what Michael said and Heidi. So I have an equestrian farm that we just went into contract, and his taxes were $80,000 a year. The house was on the market for $1.8 million. We were not getting offers because of the taxes. I called my tax assessor, who's the retired tax assessor, and I said, can you just research this and see if there's anything you could do? He got the taxes down to $36,000, and we're in contract. Now, mind you, he had this home on the market for 10 years with 5 other brokers, and no one took him down that road. And, he's so grateful. He knows so many wealthy people. And I got a chance to learn about equestrian mansions that now I'm applying that to other things. So that was really fun, but it came from just where can I solve something, because we're not getting the offers. Like the taxes were just putting everybody in that range out of the market. So that was great. And then going back to Heidi's, same thing. I learned about what was important to them. And because I started in the rental market, I know rentals. I know I walk in a home, I know what it's worth for sale and for rent. So my clients were international, and they were only here on assignments. So in 3 years, they were back to Europe or South America. So I started offering property management services. If they had to leave abruptly and we couldn't sell their home, they would keep it, I would manage it, and then 10 years later, I would sell the $3 million home. So that was a huge value add to them because they were afraid to make the purchase because of their short time here. But I bridged that with doing all the calculations ahead of time to know that if they had to leave, they would cover their expenses and make a profit. So I've sold 8 of those, and I managed it, made a rental commission off or compensation off handling it, charged them a small amount. It wasn't about the property management. It was about delivering that service and removing that fear. And then in the end, I sold all of the homes. I have 1 left.
Awesome. So this is a question to all of you guys. For the audience that's out here today, how do they get into luxury markets? That's part one. Number two is like, what do they need to do? And part three is that, who are the 5 people you should surround yourself with?
Those are way too many questions. I'm never going to remember any of that.
I think I could tie it all into one is, and I could only speak from an example of what I've done, is if I wanted to work, which I did in a specific area with a specific clientele at a specific price point, I asked myself, where do they go, right? What restaurants do they go? Because I have to be sitting at those tables, you know, and I may not order the steak, I may just order the salad and just get by on that night, but I knew I had to be there. It was a glass of wine that lasted 2 hours maybe, but I knew I had to be there, and I still do that, right? So I'm still in the areas where they are, and sometimes when we don't have conversations, they still see me. But additionally, like Heidi said, it really struck a chord is like most of these, all of them, to be truthful, didn't hit the lottery. They worked really hard to get where they are. And the first thing that got me my first $1.3 million listing, which I ended up double ending and then selling them a home for $2.8 million. When I first started my career, I used to hand out flyers at the ferry terminal when they would come on to use the ferry to go to work. And this one guy, really arrogant, like, slapped the flyers out of my hand. And the next, you know, I think I cried. Told my dad I was going to be a teacher, like, screw this. And I went back and, you know, he gave me a little brush on the shoulder. He's like, just keep going, keep doing it. Oddly enough, it was the guy who called me, who slapped that out of my hand, that asked me to come sell his condo. He's like, what I liked about you, he's like, yeah, you're annoying because you're always there trying to put flyers by me, but you came back. And he's like, a lot of people don't do that. They don't have that grind. They don't have that hustle. They don't have that heart. And he's like, that's how I got here. I immigrated to the U.S., and nobody gave me anything, and I had to make everything for myself. So a combination of, again, putting yourself in the rooms where they are, being able to relate at some type of level, and if you can't relate yet, you could at least show them that you have what it takes in your heart, in your work ethic, to get to where they got to, and in the same way of grinding and day after day and making those long days, hard nights, and putting yourself in them shoes so they have something to relate to. And people do like helping people. Like, it's a human nature thing. If they feel like they can help you and help your career, it's everything to them too. It makes them feel good. So just a combination of all that.
Great. Heidi?
So who in this room currently sells luxury real estate? Awesome. Who wants to sell luxury real estate? There's a lot of hands that aren't down. That's interesting. So for me, it started with a decision first, like, I'm going to do this. So for 20 years of my career, I schlepped $200,000 houses. I was nowhere near luxury. And at the end of 2018, I made a decision. I'm doing this. And it actually brought life and excitement back to what wasn't so exciting anymore. And then I'm like, oh my God, where do I start? Well, for me, I had imposter syndrome, so I needed to go get educated. So I went to every luxury course and certification known to man so that I felt like I had some type of, backing. And then just jumped in with both feet toward luxury houses, did luxury house open houses, like anywhere that I could be in that space. And then it started to come because the people didn't know that the houses that I were touring weren't my listings. And everybody thought I was this luxury listing specialist. And I hadn't had a luxury listing yet. So I did fake it till I make it. So I might have to.
And it's okay.
I did.
Everyone has different.
I
theories.
did, but
You did a good job.
I did it with the education behind me. And then it's just kind of intentionally blossomed from there. And my decision was based around wanting to make more money and work less hours. I work less now than I ever have, and I make more money, and I'm more profitable than I ever have been. And that's on purpose.
Awesome. Perfect. Christine, bring it home.
Bring it home. Oh boy, pressure's on. So again, I used my background, which again, my parents came to this country, no money, from Portugal, and my father and my uncle bought a home in 9 months. So as Europeans, they liked collecting rent, not paying rent. So to them, it was important, but they believed in the home ownership and buying a home was the American dream. So I believe in my roots somewhere. It's there. And so it did ooze out. So I'm similar to Heidi, where learning and education started, like Via said. I kind of had to become that person of who I saw myself be to them, but I had to be authentic. It wasn't like, oh, I drive a Lamborghini. And no, I mean, like, it didn't really matter. I just knew how to deliver that lifestyle they wanted. And I showed up in the restaurants, in the coffee shops, a new restaurant, I would let them know about it. So the lifestyle piece was more aligned because of the culture and I speak multiple languages, and that was a huge win to really, I mean, everybody from other countries want to invest in this country. So I used that whole building wealth through buying investments as my leeway in, but it's also, I did a great job for them. I'm trying to do that for me now.
That's
Now,
awesome.
Simon, are we here today because you and John have memberships at this country club?
No, you asked that.
'Cause
No, actually, we have friends who have
Okay,
who
so
has it.
that
Yep.
that was a lead-in for me too. Like, I joined a country club and sat there awkwardly and like alone, and I felt like everybody was looking at me. And now I'm sponsoring people into that country club, and I like seriously look around. I'm like, I can't believe this is my life. Like,
Yep.
I can't.
My director of sales joined a country club in his town, which was like $25,000 to join, plus startup fees. And his first year, he sold $75,000 in real estate commissions that he earned just from that country club alone, from playing golf. And it was a write-off.
Yeah, in the luxury market, they always give some type of hobbies. It could be tennis, could be golf, could be anything. It could be, boating or whatever. So find that thing, that niche that, that you want to get into. Learn about it, know about it. You might not play golf, but you come to the country club, they see you around, and then they see you sending your flyers, your informations around. They get remember you. And one day they see you at the club and say, hey, by the way, Michael, you know what? I'm thinking about selling my house. You don't know me, but that's how it works. So really, just you need to get to the right room at the right time, and then that's what's going to happen.
And then I don't know if I can say this here, but they have a database of who are members at the country club that you're not really supposed to market to, but
Yeah, they have a little disclaimer on the bottom that you're not supposed to do that.
I don't know how they fell in my database.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay.